Hey everybody, Rusty here. Welcome to my channel, Rusty Vintage Cards. As I'm recording this video, it is a Monday after a pretty busy weekend. Went to the Dallas Card Show on Friday, and that was a really fun experience. Drove down Friday morning, spent most of the day walking the show, and stayed the night, and drove back Saturday. Then yesterday we had 2 soccer games and then a soccer tryout. And then I came home and did a live stream on the For Collectors channel. Show was called Card Show Bonanza live stream, and it was about this Dallas show and then the White Plains card show. And I was by far the least experienced with card shows on this panel, but it was a lot of fun joining. It had Sammy Thunder, The Card Story, Wax Pack Wisdom, Broth 6, and Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. And yeah, I had a good time talking with those guys, talking about the shows and showing some cards. I did show these cards that I plan to show today, but in case you missed it, I'll go into a little bit more detail on my pickups. I had some fun pickups on Friday at the show. So I'll talk a little bit about the Dallas Card Show first. It was my first experience at a big show like that. I've never been to the National. So this was, I've just been to local shows here in the Tulsa area, and it was by far the biggest show I've been to. There were, I believe, supposed to be like 700 tables or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it was a big show, had one big room and then a few different side rooms. Had a lot of Pokemon, a lot of modern, and on the show, on the live stream we did yesterday, it was estimated maybe like 25% was vintage, but that was still a lot of vintage for a show that big. There were still a lot of tables there with vintage, in a wide variety, a lot of big cards, a lot of full range. So yeah, had a great time. I was there with my 11-year-old son, Luke. So I got a picture of us right before we walked into the show. And I also got a shot of him spinning a wheel to win some packs. I plan to get quite a bit more video footage inside the show, but it's kind of like a kid in a candy store. With a show that big, I just wanted to get around, see all the cards, and try to add some cards to my collection. So I did a lot of that, and I did not do a lot of video shots. But I had a great time, and we walked a lot. We walked until my son said his legs were tired and he was hungry. So I dragged that on for as long as I could, maybe just a little bit past that point, and then we had to leave. So the first card that I will show here, wait, before I get to that, so I did end up meeting with Chris from Missouri and also Matt with The Card Story, and it was great meeting up with both of those guys. Chris actually gave my son a hat, Chris's branded hat. Very cool. My son loved it. So really appreciate that. And also appreciate Matt inviting me to the live stream that I was on yesterday, and then for Sammy for giving me the official invite on that. So again, that was a lot of fun. So on to the cards. So I did pick up a few cards, and the first one that I picked up, I've been wanting to pick up a let's see, 1934 to 36. It is Diamond Stars. And I had a few of those cards on my list, on my want list, and I ran across this one, this Earl Averill, and it's in really nice condition. Great colors on that card, pretty good centering. So I worked out this deal with another card that I'll show here in just a second. But this card, this was on my list partially because I did a deep dive on Dizzy Dean last month and really got into his story a little bit more. And part of that story is that this guy hit a line drive into Dizzy Dean's foot in the All-Star game in 1937, and broke Dizzy Dean's toe. And that ended up spiraling into Dizzy Dean hurting his arm because he had this broken toe. He tried to come back too early, and he wouldn't put any weight on that foot, and he ended up throwing his arm out trying to compensate, and that's really what eventually ended his career. So this was the gentleman who hit that line drive. So part of the Dizzy story, and also a Hall of Famer. So a really cool pickup and a cool card. So the other half of that deal was this 1939 play ball Vernon Lefty Gomez. And another card in pretty decent condition. Obviously not graded on this one, but good centering and a great throwing motion image on that. And I like the photography on these 39 play balls. Reminds me of the Cashin cards. And talking to this dealer, I haven't researched this, but I believe it's the same photographer, and correct me if I'm wrong. But great card. There's the back. Really a nice looking card and pretty sharp overall. So I got those in a package deal. Then right before the end of the show, of our time at the show, and right before I met up with Chris and Matt, I found this 1952 Wheaties Bob Lemon hand cut. And you don't see too many of these in a 6 or higher, but these are not expensive cards. I actually saw an 8 earlier in the show, and it was a little more than I wanted to pay for it. So I ended up finding this 6 later on, and it's just a beautiful copy of it, I think. Has that border around it. You don't always see that. A lot of times it's cut just right around the cream or beige colored edge there. And the ones that are cut kind of square shaped are fun, have a little bit of that blue border around them. And I just really like the images on these Wheaties cards. The bright orange in the background and the artwork is, it's just fun. Not much to look at on the back of these. They are blank because it was the inside of a cereal box. So just a fun pickup, another card that I had on my want list, and I found a few of them there. Then the last pickup I have here, this was my biggest pickup, and this is a second year Sandy Koufax 1956 Topps, and that thing is a beauty. Got it in an SGC 5, and I told this story on the live stream last night, but I did see this card in a 3 earlier in the show, and it was a clean copy. It was not quite in this good of condition, but it was a clean copy. It was priced just a little bit high, and I thought I'll walk around a little bit more and come back to this maybe and try to negotiate. And I kept walking, and I found this at a Modern Dealer's table, and he had a few vintage cards there, and this was priced. It was a decent price. So priced very well, I thought. And I looked at it and set it down and walked off and thought I just need to go back and pick that up. So I worked out a deal with him, and very happy to have this one in the collection. Just a beautiful copy of this card. It's pretty sharp. It's really good centering. The back on this is really nice. One of the things I'll point out here. So on this this cartoon right here, it mentions that says in his second big league start, he won a 2-hit shutout with 14 strikeouts. That's pretty good for his second start. Maybe a little bit of an indication of what was to come. But as a lot of you know, that did not come very quickly. His success in the big leagues, at least the success that he was destined to have. So I'll read off some of his stats here. So from 1955, being his rookie year, to 1960, his record was 36 wins and 40 losses. Then you have the 60s, or into 61 is where that begins. So his record in 61 was 18-13. Then he goes 14-7. 1963, he goes 25-5. Then 19-5. Then 26-8. Then 27-9. So he really just dominated toward the end of his career. But for those first few years, he was not there yet. So this was just a cool early card of a future Hall of Famer. And again, I'm really happy to pick this up. So last card that I will show here was not my pickup, it was my son's pickup. So probably not a ton of soccer fans on this channel, since this is more of a vintage channel. But I did want to show off his big pickup, which was a 1920 Merlin Chrome Lionel Messi Ageless Alchemy. And that's a pretty cool shiny card. You get a little reflection there. So he's really happy with that. In a mint 9, Messi is one of his favorite players. We did go to an Inter Miami game last summer. Unfortunately, it was right after Messi got hurt, so we missed him, but we got to see a lot of the other players like Suarez. I'm not a huge soccer guy, so that's about the extent of my knowledge with it. But anyway, yeah, Dallas Card Show was great. It was fun meeting up with some YouTubers. And then, again, talking with the guys last night on the live stream. There was a lot of knowledge there, and it was just fun to kind of sit back and listen to those guys talk about their experience with card shows and how they felt about these two shows that we were discussing. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope everyone has a good one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.